our voice is one of our core tools, be it on presentations, be it on talking to people, vendors, bosses, and everybody. And you can help me help our audiences to understand how important the voice is.
It is such an important vehicle of your communication for life. Your ideas, thoughts, feelings. Your voice is your personality, and your personality is your voice. By understanding that our voice is an instrument, it's a vocal instrument which is as versatile as any musical instrument. If you ask me about coaches, I've had them all my life because when I moved from an RJ to a voiceover artist, people assume that it's a natural progression. Now I am a curious mind because for me, what keeps me excited and curious is the fact that how can I make a difference in that student, that client who has decided to say, please help me. As a coach, I constantly believe in remaining a student.
Hello, Mavericks. Your voice is one of the most important facets of your personality because it conveys your thoughts, emotions, and intentions to others. It helps you build and maintain relationships as clear and empathetic communication fosters trust and understanding. You can be a professional managing a team, a business owner, a content creator, or a politician. Whatever your profession, your voice represents your personality. And having good command and control over it is paramount for both professional and personal growth. Today, we have with us an expert on the subject. He has been a famous RJ for over 15 years, a successful voiceover artist, and now a voice coach, Mr. Paran Thakur. He is going to share with us some secrets of gaining mastery over our voice. So please join me in welcoming Mr. Paran Thakur. Thank you. So, Paran sir, welcome to the podcast, MaverickManCo podcast. Very, very happy to have you on the podcast. I have been in the professional space for almost 15 years now, and as a professional, we always have to. Our voice is one of our core tools, be it on presentations, be it on talking to people, vendors, bosses, and everybody. And I've always tried to understand that how can you have more control over your voice? How can you actually identify your true voice? So having you on the podcast is a great thing today because as a voice expert, you can help me help our audiences to understand how important the voice is. And I would want to first start off with that question itself. How did you get into this space? What has been your background? How did you got into being an RJ and then becoming a voiceover artist and then voice coach?
First of all, thank you, AB. I love the name of your podcast. Maverick Man is
Thank
reminds,
you.
I'm sure, both of us of Tom Cruise and the Top Gun days. I remember in
Yes.
school watching it 42 times, knew every
Oh
dialogue from
wow.
start to finish.
Oh
So was
wow.
always
Wow.
very, very fascinated with the art. So at a young age, I got exposed to a lot of acting, theater, so that was a love that continued all the way into my college years, where I started working while I was in college or at a radio station, started lending my voice to commercials. And then radio happened right after I graduated with All India Radio FM. So you can say I've actually been in the business of voice since the late 90s. I know I'm going to
Oh
expose a
wow.
bit of my age and how old I am. But yeah, when the FM revolution started, you know, Roshan Abbas, Gaurav Kapoor, Sameep Nanda, Rana, myself, we were the ones who pioneered it, if I may. So that
Oh
was the
great.
journey. So to answer your question, if I look at it, I've used my voice all my life to actually earn money.
Hmm. Hmm.
However, that is my profession as a radio jockey for 20 years and now a voiceover artist is very obvious to people that hey, this guy's in the business of voice, he needs to sound good, engaging, and all of that, needs to have a great voice. But my question is that isn't everybody in some form or the other using their voice whether it is their
Absolutely.
relationships,
Absolutely.
their jobs, their careers, their business, whatever it is. We may not directly be
Correct.
monetizing on it, but come to think of it, it is such an important vehicle of your communication for life. Your ideas, thoughts, feelings are all going to
Absolutely.
get expressed with your voice.
Correct.
So it's going to become
Correct.
your
Couldn't
your
agree more. Yeah.
identity. And as one of my coaches talks about, my mentors, that your voice is your personality and your personality is your voice.
Correct. Correct. I mean, couldn't put it any in any other better way than this.
So having said that, the realization is essentially this, that people only use their voice. So we go through life using our voice. So if you're an introverted person, maybe you speak 5,000 words a day. If you're on the extroverted side, if you're a female, you can go to 15 to 20,000 words a day and done.
Yeah.
And
My my daughter probably used 40,000 words already. She's just 3 years old. So she has made me a real extrovert from an introvert because I have to talk to her. Otherwise, just she will just keep on testing me.
so what happens is that if our tongue and our voice box, our larynx, is going to be such an overworked organs in our body, why not pay some attention to number one, the health and fitness and strength of it? That no
Yeah,
matter whether it is you in the morning with that relaxed, deep voice, to the end of the day where you still carry energy to give back to people. You have the volume, you have the excitement, whatever you need your voice to do.
correct. Yeah,
So my mission is to help anybody speak and sound better by understanding that our voice is an instrument. It's a vocal instrument which is as versatile as any musical instrument.
absolutely, absolutely.
Now,
And I think, as you rightly pointed out, no, I mean, a lot of times people think that voice coaching is mostly used or required by, say, singers or say actors mostly, or for example, voiceover artists themselves. But I think it's in today's world, and even before that, we all admire orators in various fields, be it in politics, be it in our own professions, be it as an actor. And all of these people, somewhere, either they are trained or not trained, but somewhere they understand their voice very, very closely. They know what works, what doesn't work. And I think that's those are the nuances which you can only understand when you are working with some coach. So I wanted to talk to you, or rather, I wanted to ask you also that when you started in this field, I'm sure you knew about your deep voice right from the beginning itself. But did you also undergo some training, and how did that start?
that's a great question, and I'm glad you've asked it, because yes, I'm a big believer in working with coaches, because you have to keep sharpening your saw, and one of the great ways to do it is, to best way to learn to teach, or the best way to learn is to start to teach it. So immediately when the circumstances started to happen, that I'm going to be moving on from just a voiceover artist into a voice coach, the first thing that I decided was to actually undergo training. So the first
Mhm.
person that I worked with, Win Jiang, Vietnamese origin Australian gentleman, according to me, the best communication coach in the world.
Oh, okay,
Win
okay.
Jiang is known as Ask Win, Winh, on social media, and he has more than 10 million followers. So
Oh, great.
first, I
Okay.
I became part of his stage academy, because
Uh-huh.
I he
And
he
this was
made a lot of
where? This was
emphasis.
where you were
This
doing
was
in this?
online. This was online.
Uh,
This was an online
okay.
training
Oh
that I
man, so
that I
you
went
you
through.
you have been a pioneer of online learning in 1990s and all. That's when you did it. When
No, this is recent. This is
Acha, this is
last
recent.
year.
Sorry, sorry, my bad.
This is
Yeah.
last year. So
Okay.
yes, I had. If you ask me about coaches, I've had them all my life, because when I moved from an RJ to a voiceover artist,
Correct.
people assume that it's a natural progression.
Huh, huh.
But as an RJ, you get used to speaking at a certain speed and a certain style.
Correct.
You're the
Correct.
happy
And
sunshine,
spontaneous.
making people feel good, and you're
Yeah.
fast. But to go from an RJ to a voice over artist also required coaching. But I had to then specifically work
Mm.
with people who help voiceover artists, because here it was about evoking feelings in 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds of a very important message that you are delivering as a voice actor.
Mm.
How to get
Correct.
into
Correct.
character. So that was the journey. Then, when I got into the coaching side, I decided to get coached myself in communication with Ask Win. Then I'm now working currently with Roger Love, who's a very well known voice coach based out of America. And yes, for me, now I am a curious mind, because for me, what keeps me excited and curious is the fact that how can I make a difference in that student, that client who has decided to say, please help me. I want to speak and sound better. I want to learn to play with my vocal instrument rather than use it. So, as I asked you, people go through
Correct.
life using their voice. But if we are as versatile as a piano, which has 88 keys, some of us, if I asked you to speak in a really, really high pitch and go into a falsetto and go really, really high, or I asked you to really drop your volume and your tone,
Mm.
your pitch, and go really, really low, it's authentic. It's not phony because it sounds coming out of my mouth.
Correct. Correct. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
it's like, how do you construct melody when you speak? How do you get voice modulation? I get asked this a lot, AB.
Uh, uh.
So, for example, I could say, I'm walking up the stairs, or I'm walking down the stairs, I'm walking up the
Mm.
stairs,
Mm.
I'm walking down the stairs. I'm now on a
Mm.
landing. I am neither walking up the stairs nor am I walking up down the stairs.
Yeah.
Monotone. I'm only using
Great.
one or two keys of my vocal instrument. So the
Yes.
ability
Yes.
to be
Yes.
able to take it up and down, have the right inflections when you're, which sentences are you ending on the up, not just the question.
Correct.
हमें बचपन में स्कूल में सिखाया जाता है कि हिंदी बोल सकते हैं आपके पॉडकास्ट पे।
हाँ, बिल्कुल।
हाँ, तो बिंदास, हाँ। तो बचपन में सिखाया जाता है कि क्वेश्चन पे आपका इन्फ्लेक्शन ऊपर जाना चाहिए।
हाँ, हाँ,
करेक्ट।
करेक्ट।
तो कई
या,
लोग होते हैं, जैसे आपने, यू मस्ट हैव हर्ड इन यूएस देयर इज अ पर्टिकुलर एरिया, वैली गर्ल्स और समथिंग दे कॉल्ड, वी वर गोइंग ऑन अ पार्टी, वी वर गोना डू डा 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 डा, दे टॉक लाइक एवरीथिंग गोस अप।
yes, yeah, up, yes, yeah, 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 correct.
So similarly, now when it comes to the human spoken voice, the
Hmm.
upward and downward inflections also play a very important role.
Right, right.
AB, let me ask you, how long have you been a working professional? And you say it in a sentence to
15,
me. You say it in a sentence to
uh,
me that, hey, Paran, I've been a working professional for go.
hey, Paran, I have been working professional for 15 years now.
Okay. So you went, I've been a working professional for 15 years now.
Correct.
So there was an upward inflection.
Right, right.
What if
Which you
you,
wanted to highlight.
yes, you wanted to highlight, but how if you highlighted it by saying, hey, Paran, I've been a working professional for 15 years now.
Uh, uh, the impact is different, yeah, and
So these
stronger. Yeah,
nuances,
correct.
if I say, I love my wife, I sound happy. If I say, if I sound, I love my wife, I don't even sound like I love her. I love my wife. I love my wife. Up or down.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
these
yeah,
little
yeah.
things, it's so much fun working with people, helping them understand these little things. People's tendency to do the ums and ahs and the filler, non-filler, non-words. So I'm thoroughly enjoying
Right.
myself, but as a coach, I
Amazing.
constantly believe in remaining a student.
Perfect. Now, because we were talking about these different type of voices, what are some of the memorable voiceovers that you have done? Anything that comes to mind which you think? I'm sure you enjoy your work quite a bit, but anything which was, let's say, a challenge and still came out extremely, extremely good.
I think one of the instances I would like to remember is when I started to offer my services as a voiceover artist in Hindi, and I got a really
Uh-huh.
tough client. And loved the fact that he just kept giving me instructions, kept giving me feedback, and I kept taking it constructively because it was important for me to get the pronunciations, because it was a script where sometimes the words used are not what people like you and me use. लेकिन
You
उसके
can
लिए
tell the
तो
brand. It was a brand.
it's been too long, I would not remember.
Okay.
But that to me
Okay.
was a challenge in itself, and to master, the Hindi pronunciation जो साथ साथ चल रही थी उसमें, जो उस प्रोजेक्ट में एक एक इट वाज अ ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन दैट हैपेंड फॉर मी, बिकॉज देन आई बिकेम रियली कॉन्फिडेंट कि हाँ यार, मैं हिंदी भी ठीक बोलता हूँ, स्पष्ट बोल सकता हूँ, इसमें भी मैं अपने इमोशंस अभिव्यक्त कर सकता हूँ, आई हैव द एबिलिटी, इट्स क्लीन, इट्स
Mm,
क्लियर, डिक्शन है। तो फिर मैंने हिंदी वॉइस ओवर्स भी करना शुरू किया, बिकॉज अर्लियर आई वाज ओनली
mm.
डूइंग इंग्लिश।
English.
Otherwise, I mean, if I have to talk about brands, I mean, from having worked with Coca-Cola to Amazon to Hostinger, all the banks you can name in India. For some reason, people like my voice for the insurance sector. I can come across as really sincere and a nice guy. So I mean,
Okay.
brands I can name till the cows come home. But yeah, I mean, just the whole journey, Abhishek.
Uh, yeah. So interesting to know, sir. And इसमें so I'm just curious. So in voiceover, so actors say right कि हमको typecast कर देते हैं. There is a typecasting that happens of the actors based on the voice. Does that kind of thing happen over voiceover acting also? Because as you said, right, your voice suddenly, I mean, is very credible. It sounds very credible. So you आपको सिर्फ insurance और banking और उस तरह का कुछ मिल रहा है. इस तरह का भी कुछ होता है क्या? इसी तरह का work you are getting.
You're asking very intelligent questions, and here is something that happens with voiceover artists. So if somebody is listening in from that perspective, and I fell uh, a victim to this happening, it happened to me, which is why I'm sharing this. As voiceover artists, we get into a certain style that becomes ours.
Yeah, yeah,
Like we
correct.
believe that that's our money voice.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
there came a point in time where no matter what the script was, whether it was a documentary, explainer video, promo, commercial, whatever it was, I realized that I actually have the same way of doing everything.
Mm. Mm.
My versatility as a voice actor was missing. So then I again, voice coaches came into the picture, and then I learned a beautiful technique called script interpretation. The who, when, where, how that you answer every time you
Ah.
have a message to say in front of a microphone.
So you create a backstory of sorts about the
Yes,
character. Okay,
yes.
got it.
Who are you? Are you a
Mm.
company spokesman? Are you a friend? Where are you sitting across the coffee table?
Mm,
Are you an
mm, mm, mm,
MC at an event? So you want your voice to be booming and being as large as the room that you're reaching out in. So again, these little nuances come into play. So today I'm pretty happy with the way that I interpret scripts and bring my own personality, because you have to be authentic you. You can't fake it and sound like somebody else, put on an accent, do a voice which is not yours.
mm,
वो
mm, mm,
फेक
mm,
दिखता है यार। आज की दुनिया
mm,
में
mm.
ऑथेंटिसिटी, ओरिजिनलिटी, I think those are traits which are will always remain true because they are you.
Correct,
So to
correct.
bring your own life experiences every time you
Yeah,
have a microphone in front of you, that really helps.
good, good, cool. Got to know. Good, great to know. One more thing I wanted to understand while we were talking about it, I was thinking. So you talked about the tonality, the inflection points. When you assess a voice as a voice coach, or let's say someone wants to do this in themselves, at least to understand where my voice is, what are these factors or facets about your voice that you should that you should try and understand?
Okay. So there are five things which are our vocal foundations: our rate of speech, volume, melody, which is
Hmm.
basically your pitch, your tonality, your tone of voice,
Hmm.
and your pausing and pacing, the ability to
Got it.
pause at the right time. So these are the
So,
five
so you
things.
mentioned first is your rate of speech,
Rate of speech,
then rate of
volume,
speech,
the
right?
life
How
rate of
fast
speech.
you're correct.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Rate of speech,
Okay, then hmm.
volume, the lifeblood of your voice.
Okay, okay, okay. So some people you would say have naturally lower. So like I have been told a lot that your voice is the volume is usually my volume is usually lower. That's what you are referring to.
Yeah. So if I speak to you in a low volume, then what starts to happen is that I do not come across as confident. I
Hmm.
do
Hmm.
not seem to give you any sort of energy. You do not look at me as someone who is full of life.
Correct, correct,
So the
correct.
moment I put a little bit of volume in it, I come across as confident. I come across as
Correct.
giving you energy back,
Yes, yes,
believable.
absolutely.
So
Correct,
volume plays a very important role.
correct.
People
Volume is
either
the
speak loudly, but more often than not, I mean, being soft spoken is good. There are moments where you're soft spoken, you're at a candlelight dinner with your sweetheart, you want to whisper sweet nothings into her ear, you want to be soft.
correct.
But by and large in life, you want to be heard clearly.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
volume is very important. That when you transmit a sound wave, which is your voice, it reaches the back of the person, the wall. So you read the room and accordingly speak. But you should have a situation where people can hear you clearly. So they don't say,
Hmm.
"Oh, come again, say that again."
Yeah. 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 Understood. So volume is the second one. Then you mentioned.
So the vocal foundations, the next one is your pitch and melody, your ability to be able to modulate your voice. Where we talked about,
So how
I'm
would you
walking up the
define
stairs.
pitch? Pitch essentially for the viewer's understanding is how you go high and low in your voice. Is that the correct interpretation?
Yeah, so for example, if I could illustrate it with a vocal warm up,
Sure.
let's call it VO. So my
VO.
V, I go high. V, as much as I can go into even a falsetto, cartoon voice. V,
Okay.
and I go oh as low as I can. So in my coaching, I get people to start on 10 to 15 minutes of vocal warm ups, voice exercises, and breathing exercises, AB. Because
Got it.
breath work is very, very important when we are talking about your speaking
Okay.
voice
Got it.
or
So
your
so
singing
this
voice for that matter.
so this is your pitch where you go high and then you go ekdam low. Then
Yes.
you second fourth one you mentioned is melody. How would
So
you,
the
if you can illustrate
third one
that also?
is pitch and melody.
Pitch and melody. Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Let me give you an example. Okay. Let
Right.
me, again, I'm going into coach mode.
No, no,
But
absolutely.
let's
Please
say,
do.
are you fond of reading?
I do. Yes.
Okay. So damn good. Great habit. Now let's say that there's a favorite book of yours
Uh-huh.
and you have read it recently, and I tell you, AB, any random page, I ask you to, out of memory, word by word, recite one full page of the book. Will you be able to do it?
No.
I mean, you'd be a freak if you did, right? It's impossible almost.
No. Correct.
Now, do you have a favorite song?
Yes. Lot of
Now, if I
yes.
asked you to recite the lyrics of a song word by word, would you be able to do it?
Yes. Most probably. Yeah. Yeah.
What changed?
I think the because it has music in it. It has melody in it. Correct. Got it.
Melody equals to memorable.
Interesting.
When
Interesting.
you, as a person, want to be memorable or you start becoming memorable, that's how you start becoming influential.
Yeah. Yeah. I think
So,
that's a
the
great point.
ability
Yeah.
to be able to engage your audience by going up, going low, changing your rate of speech. If I have a very fast default rate of speech, you're not going to be able to keep up with me and you'll be like overwhelmed, man. Why is this guy not even pausing? But if I speak very, very slowly, you will be bored to death.
Correct.
Your
Correct.
cortisol levels will start rising. So, naturally, a fast default rate of speech and a slow default rate of speech, both are not good. But if I spoke to you at a healthy rate of speech, and this is how I continue to speak to you, and I did not alter it or change it, your brain is now sending a signal that I can almost predict the way he's going to continue to talk, and it is starting to switch off.
Right. Right.
So
Right.
the trick
Absolutely.
is in, like Jasprit Bumrah varies his speed to fox the batsman out. For us to keep an audience engaged and hanging on to every word we speak every time we open our mouth, we need to change our rate of speech.
Excellent. Excellent.
I have slowed down, and your brain thinks something very important is
Important.
coming.
Correct. Correct.
And then I pick up the pace again. And then, so that's the combination that creates that melody that you create. The play with the pitch, rate of speech. You can have a high volume thing, and then you can drop your volume to create that suspense, anticipation. So the
Beautiful.
fourth one is tone of voice.
Tone. Okay. Okay. So pitch and melody. So just to quickly remind, the first one is your volume. The second one, sorry, rate of
First one
speech.
is rate of speech.
Second one is volume. Third one is pitch and melody. Fourth one we are talking about is the tonality.
Yes, your tone of voice. Now, your tone of
How
voice,
would you define? How would you define that?
these are the underlying emotions in your voice.
Correct. Got it.
There is a lot of study in psychology, and human beings have basically core about six feelings or emotions. You can be happy, you can be sad, you can be disgusted, you can be angry, you could be surprised, you could be sad. Did I say that before?
Yeah.
So
No, you covered all six. Yes.
now, Abhishek, for each of our core feelings, we have a matching facial expression.
Correct.
Put on a what is your most disgusted expression? Like when you're disgusted.
Correct. Correct.
Now, in this disgusted, keeping this disgusted expression, I want you to say, "Welcome to the Maverick Man podcast." It will come out
Yeah.
disgusted, disgusting. But the moment you put a smile and you bring on your happy expression, how will the sound, the words flow now from your voice?
Correct. Correct.
That is
Absolutely.
tonality.
Got it. Got it.
The
Beautifully explained.
feelings.
Yeah.
People don't remember what you say to them, they remember how you made them feel.
Feel. Absolutely.
That is your
Correct.
tonality. You have sometimes a concerned voice, sometimes you have a curious voice. I just wanted to understand. That's tonality. And the last one's my favorite because I think some people just do not get this one. But I think it's really, really important because it does wonderful things, which is the power of pausing, the pause, of pacing.
Okay. Okay.
I just
Got
did
it.
what is called a dramatic pause to let that sink in.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is sometimes they say, no, that mic drop kind of moment where you say something very dramatic and then that mic drop. So that kind of basic having pauses in between and keeping the audience hooked.
Yes. And what people mistakenly say is that, oh, we don't want to be interrupted. हमें तेज तेज बोलना है and all that. But you don't realize that if you make that into your style of speaking, people will actually get you more clearly. Because what happens is that not only is a pause one of the tools that we use to get people to rid themselves of the ahs, etc., but I bring people back to the basics where I tell them that, look, whatever you do from here on in, I want you to spend more time in your day, your brain having a conversation with you to check your breathing.
To check your, sorry,
Breathing.
breathing. Okay.
Are you breathing from your diaphragm or are you doing accessory breathing, shallow breaths, or only till your chest? Or when you are inhaling, your diaphragm, your tummy is filling up like a balloon. Now, speaking well, articulation, and all of these foundations that we covered, the strongest foundation of it all is breathing. Think of it
Got it.
this way, that when you speak from your diaphragm, you are engaging the
For the
entire
viewers, if
mechanism.
sorry to interrupt, but for the viewers, just to make them understand, because this is something that the first time when you search for how to control your voice, the first thing will come up is speak, breathe from the diaphragm and speak from your diaphragm. So if you can, for the viewers, explain that if you are doing shallow breathing, how will you sound, and if you are breathing, sorry, if you are breathing from the diaphragms and then speaking, how will that sound, and how
Okay,
does that
very,
exactly work?
very nice. Okay, great question. So, to check yourself, your shallow breathing will be shorter breaths. Now, our breathing, because it's related to our emotions, when think of the time that you are stressed, you are angry, your voice and your breathing is like fast, fast, fast,
Right, right,
right? Now, what
correct.
I ask my clients to do is that when you take a moment to think of your breathing, take a deep breath in from your nose gently and fill up your air with diaphragm. What should happen is that your tummy should expand.
The
And
air
then
should flow.
yes, and when I start to speak, then my stomach starts to return to its normal position. When I pause, I take a deep breath in again. And when I start to speak, it is about my stomach going back in until I run out of breath. And because I've got a good amount of oxygen in my system, I'm able to speak a sentence as long as that without running out of breath.
Got it, got it.
And I've got my deep
Understood.
diaphragmatic breath going again. The second telltale sign will be that people who do shallow breathing, immediately when I interact with them, I tell them, okay, come on, let's do deep breathing exercises. So I do like box breathing, I do 4, 7, 8, etc. So the moment I get them to breathe, their shoulders start going like this.
Up.
That's wrong. That's accessory breathing. You don't want to fill up your air only till here.
Breathe
Your
fully.
shoulders should not move when you're breathing in. Your
Correct.
tummy should expand like a balloon. That's
Got
it.
it,
You just have to get this, Baba. And you're sorted.
got it, got it.
And then how? See, if I can give you an example, visually think of your words, the voice that you are creating to be powerful. It needs to be on a bed of air. That
Okay.
is when it will carry beautifully. That is when you will start to play with your vocal instrument rather than just use it. That awareness and then the implementation of what you learn is what is my life's work at the moment, Abhishek.
No, no. Thank you so much, Paran, for explaining this so beautifully. I think because I always used to wonder कि ये होता क्या है भाई, diaphragm breathing बता तो देता है. I mean, and there are videos and all, but when you explain it, you talk to an expert like yourself, then it becomes very clear. Okay, how you are supposed to do this. So thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
Now, one more thing that I had in mind was that for especially for men, that deep resonant voice is something that every man wants. That Amitabh Bachchan वाला जो ओए heavy voice जो होता है वो हर किसी को चाहिए. Every man thinks कि यार वैसा voice हो जाना चाहिए. So, what I want to understand from you as a voice coach is that is it possible for everybody to have that deep voice? I mean, there is obviously genetics at play. Your hereditary also comes into picture, but
DNA, the structure of
so
your vocal cords.
correct. So, how much should you give weightage to having a deep voice? I mean, if it is there, it is there, and it is good to have. But let's say for people who do not have it, what should they do to make their voice a little bit more deeper and resonant? And apart from that, what is the you talked about the vocal foundation. I mean, obviously those things are there, but how do you understand that what is your true voice? I mean, you can move your voice high and low, you can make it deep, you can make it very high pitch. How should one go about that?
So there's a reason that I ran the program, the Deeper Voice Workshop. And I did not call it the Deep Voice Workshop. I called it the Deeper. So the
Okay,
first thing that I always want to impress upon my students is the fact that you have your own unique voice. It is God given.
correct.
However, it is how you speak right now is a series of habits that you have created. When you're growing up, you emulate the voice of people you admire, whether it's your parents, whether it's friends, whether it's movie stars, TV actors. Now, in this emulation process, you start to form the habits that they have formed. So,
Right.
you can change the way you speak and you can change your voice by altering a series of behaviors. Now, as we illustrated, the human voice has the ability to have a certain depth that you can attain. I say about 10 to 15% is the number that we are looking at, that you can find your deeper voice, where you use it at opportune moments in the day, at times when you really feel like I'm in this profession. So when I have to do a movie trailer, I have to put that big, deep timber. But the point is, how do I bring it on at my beck and call? I don't talk like that all day long, but when I need to, I can. Which is
Yeah.
why I recommend AB humming.
Okay. Okay.
Humming. Singers have done it from time immemorial. It's part of their riyaz. But that is got to be the 10-15 minutes that you spend on your voice. Humming is like meditation for your voice.
Got it. Got it. Any specific technique or just any which way that
So,
you want?
so when you get into your breathing, so let's say you do a round of box breathing, you do like a 4 second inhale, hold for four, exhale for four, hold for four, few rounds of this.
Okay. So inhale for 4 seconds, exhale for 4 seconds, again inhale. So that's what box breathing is.
No, inhale for four, do it with me. Inhale for four, not 4 seconds, but count of four. Now hold for four. Inhale for four, hold for four, exhale for four, hold for four, inhale for four, hold
Okay.
for four.
Got it. Got it. Got it. So
The
inhale
other
for
one,
four.
which works for you beautifully for your health overall, is the 4-7-8, which is you inhale for four, hold for seven, and exhale to eight. Inhale for four from the nose always, hold for seven, and exhale for eight. Now, once you've slowed it all down, you're conscious of your breathing. With your deep belly breath, on the exhale, start your hum, your om.
Okay.
Now, doing this repeatedly is going to help you know your scales. If you do a little bit of a ambulance kind of thing with your inhale, where you take your with your hum, where you take it high and take it low.
Okay. Okay. Like that kind of
So you go. So
ambulance.
you let's say go oh. So as high as you can go, that low you'll be able to go. Now
Okay.
doing this for a few minutes is going to make, it's like building a muscle almost, where you know this is my deepest. most resonant voice, because you've done it by humming it out, by repeat. You put in
Right,
the reps.
right, right.
So in my humming, because I am able to, I know how to access the lowest, is how I get to the lowest. Because I know it exists there in my vocal instrument. It's about accessing it at will, if you like.
Got it,
So there
got
are there are a lot of nuances to it, man. I mean, there, there's we can go. You can talk to me all day about this, and I'll be like still excited.
No, no, it's very interesting and very useful. I mean, this reminds me almost of I was watching this interview of Matthew McConaughey. He's and he implemented this in one of the movies also. I don't know whether you saw this Wolf of Wall Street. There's this movie where he starts doing this chest beating and humming to bring this down. That is something that he actually does while he's acting. He actually does that while he's acting to modulate his voice and so on. So I think that's very useful for anybody who would watch this podcast to understand how to at least start from there. And this is something that you recommend that everybody does at least once a day in the morning and whenever you get the time.
Yes, give 5 to 10 minutes in your day, 15 ideally, to your voice, man. You're going to speak so many words. Strengthen it. Do humming. Do breath work.
Got it. Got it.
If you want to work on clarity, which is articulation, do tongue twisters. Read them slowly first and then speed it up. And
Right.
by all means, start with vocal warm-ups. I got into a very good habit, worked with a voice coach who got me into the habit. Now my children, everybody in the house is used to, papa is going to make some strange sounds, but when he makes those strange noises for 10 minutes, he's going to then shut his door and record voiceovers. तो मेरे लिए तो by default हो गया, but I just do that. So Wim Hof breathing method, again, beautiful if you want to bring strength to your lungs, your diaphragm.
So you are into I mean and Wim Hof is, I mean, some say that it is kind of a pranayam based breathing also that he does. Yeah, some a lot of basics have been taken from there only, but
Yes,
so
for sure.
so that's also, so pranayam is also something that is very useful for in improving your voice.
Yes, because I truly believe that there is a connection to your physical fitness. Because at the end of the day, your voice fitness is also going to depend on that, right?
Correct.
Now, your voice fitness is basically, for example, hydration.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hydration plays a very important role in it. So, whatever is your weight of your body divided by 30,
Okay.
that's the amount of liters of water that you should be drinking in a day
Oh, okay. Okay.
to be nicely hydrated. Now,
Right.
if you gulp and you finish a glass after glass, you'll rush to the washroom more times than you want.
Right.
So
Right.
you always do sip, nice and easy.
I think Madhavan put it somewhere very eloquently that you chew your water and you sorry, what was it? You chew your water or and you drink your food. So it should
Okay,
be like when you're drinking water, you don't gulp it. You move it around your mouth. You chew it almost, and your food should be so soft and it should be so much chewed that you. It's almost like you're drinking your food. So chew your water, drink your food. That will keep most of your digestive system and your body healthy. I
nice
think
man,
that's
very nice.
yeah.
I think Madhavan's a great guy that way. I learned so much from him. He's
Yeah,
great.
yeah. So
He's
I,
amazing.
I heard it about somewhere in his talk. So I think that just stuck with me. Yeah. So you have to keep your body hydrated and vocal cords hydrated. Great.
Fantastic.
Uh, Paranji, one more thing I would want to ask you at this point in time is that uh, voice coaching and because you are a voice coach, do you? So I mean, obviously there are overlaps between voice coaching and public speaking. Uh, should I mean as a public speaker or people who are into, even professionals who are into this space. I mean, we do give presentations every other day and so on. uh, for people who want to become better at public speaking, and who want to be respected for the kind of work they do. So there is obviously one aspect is the communication aspect, how the content that you create at the end of the day. But at the same time, there are a lot of nuances with the voice. We talked about a lot of things, but some of the key things when you are on a stage, as a public speaker, and I have done a lot of mistakes while doing presentations in my my professional career, and I have learned from it. But what are some of the tips that you would give to public speakers or people who are professionals, have to do presentations every month, every other week? What are some of the things that they can keep in mind when they want their presentation to be solid? I mean, very impactful from the voice point of view.
Right. So I'm glad that you asked this question for no other reason that when people embark on the journey with me, I start with the voice, but the voice is such an integral part of your overall communication
Correct. Absolutely.
that I start working with them from the perspective of the fact that let's say 7 to 8% are the words you speak. 38 to 40% is the tonality, the tone of voice that you have, and the remaining 50 55% is your body language.
Yeah. The non-verbal communication that you have.
Exactly. Is it in sync with what you are saying? What about your hand movements? What about your facial expression? What about your posture? Standing right. So then this is almost like a mentorship, if I may use that term. But for students who want to go the whole 9 yards with me, these are the ones who, when I talk to them about first their biggest problem or area that they want to eradicate completely, and then their dream destination, the, the final transformation that they want to see, a lot of them say public speaking.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
public speaking of the nature of being on stage specifically, because actually, if you speak to one person, also it is a form of public speaking.
True. True. Yeah.
क्योंकि जो हमें अपने आप से बात करनी होती है उसके लिए हमें बोलने की जरूरत नहीं होती.
Right.
So when we
Right.
look at it from the stage effect, then I work with my clients on two very, very important aspects before we actually break it down. Because I'm a huge believer in preparation. Prep, the greatest speakers who you feel, oh, this guy's born with it, he's gifted. They have spent hours and hours, I promise you, in front of their mirror or behind closed doors, practicing and getting that speech ready.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
So the two aspects that I work with are body language, hand gestures. For example, I have students who, let's say, break talking head reels on Instagram. So they have, they don't move their hands, they keep them static. Somebody's told them this is good mudra, diamond shape. तो वो ऐसे उनके हाथ ऐसे ही चलते हैं
Yeah.
throughout. But the ability to be able to use one hand doing one thing, the other one doing something, the gestures that you make, the pointed finger when you need to bring that in. So then we go into that nuance because your body's got to be in sync. Your voice, your body are so connected.
Correct.
So then
Absolutely.
I start
Absolutely.
working with them on body language and then to give them the superpower of being awesome on stage. And I say this and I will share something which is a burning desire for me. I'm putting it out there to the universe. I'm waiting to be invited to be a TEDx speaker, George speaker. I don't know what it is, but I'm sending a message out to the universe because I'm trying to do it now. I get to be on stage, by the way, as MC a lot, master of ceremonies. So I've had a love affair from the acting days to being on stage as a master of ceremonies. But to
Got
make
it.
a 17, 18-minute speech, that idea just excites me. Anyway, I digress.
Cool.
So
So, yeah.
the
So
superpower that I
talking,
was coming
sorry,
to,
yeah,
AP,
correct.
is the art of storytelling. I, helping people identify their signature story along with the message that they want to share. Because the human mind, the operating system is stories. From time immemorial, we have taken in information most effectively when it was told in a story format. People love stories. Hollywood, Bollywood understand this and they spend millions of dollars in putting that story together because they know people will turn up to watch
Correct.
them.
Correct.
The speaker that you remember, the people that you remember, the ones that move you to a certain emotion, they are persuasive, they are influential, are all people who told stories. Whether it was that teacher in school that you love, besides the syllabus, interweaved stories in his communication with you.
Yeah.
That
Absolutely.
is a superpower, bro. So when I learned the importance of it, great. We've all heard a TED speaker say, "Oh, you must storytell," but how? So we get into the how part. How to create that diary, the manuscript of journal of your own stories. How you look at your past experiences, lessons, moments of vulnerability, how your zero to hero moment, and you're learning from it. The reason I'm telling you the story is because I realized where you are in the audience's mind and you're giving them that realization. The greatest public speaker is one who makes somebody at some point in time feel, यार ये तो सिर्फ मेरे से बात कर रहा है.
मेरे
He's
से बात
talking
कर रहा है.
to me.
Correct. Correct. Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
So of course
When you
voice
when
plays a
you are
very
able to
important
see
role.
yourself in the story, it's a blockbuster.
तो जब आपने बात की about public speaking, then I tell my clients who that we will work for a longer period of time, because then we have to go beyond voice. Of course, your voice will now be your superpower as well, because you'll be using it very powerfully, very effectively, engagingly. But body language storytelling has to come in for you to be a great public speaker. And then there are the psychological things, the fear that people have, how to how the spotlight effect is not about you. The spotlight effect, we spend too much time thinking about what people think about us, but actually in reality people really don't care. So
Yeah.
how you as a speaker have to immediately have, let's say, an do you know that an aircraft, when it takes off, a fighter jet, it uses almost 50% of its fuel in just the takeoff, if
Oh,
not
okay.
more. So similarly, with somebody who's got a time limit on a speech, we like to think of it as a F-16 plane, where you load it up with a few things right at the very onset. So how you walk into the room, your hand gestures, how you immediately shift the spotlight to your audience by getting interactive, putting the ball in their court. Great speakers, if you notice, they will immediately start asking people some questions, get them to raise their hands, get up.
Correct.
So
Correct.
those, nuances, if you like, in terms of how you play it. So you go very top heavy. You bring in the why. Most people suffer from what is called as a content crutch.
Okay.
लोग पब्लिक स्पीकिंग के लिए आते हैं और उनका एक एरिया ऑफ एक्सपर्टीज होता है, जो उनकी स्पेशलिटी होती है, जिसके बारे में वो मिडल ऑफ द नाइट दे कैन गेट अप एंड स्टार्ट टॉकिंग अबाउट इट.
Correct.
लेकिन
Correct.
होता क्या है ना, कि लोग चीज़ों को बोरिंग बना देते हैं बाय गोइंग स्ट्रेट इनटू देयर. सो टुडे आई एम गोइंग टू बी टॉकिंग टू यू अबाउट दिस एंड
Yeah.
theory, statistics, blah, 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 starts. And then they say people are not listening, they're distracted, they're playing with their phones, or बहुत लंबा टाइम था आज की, अटेंशन स्पैन लोगों की कम हो गई है. They make all these fucking excuses.
Right. Right. Right.
But that is happening because you didn't bring in the why must they listen to you? What's in it for me? For the audience is always asking. So today I've been given 20 minutes, and believe you me, I'm going to share a story which helped me lose 15 kgs and reverse these things. I'll try and share that journey in 15 minutes. Now, is it something in it for you? If that's what you're looking for,
Yeah. Yeah. Got it.
so
Got it.
the front loading powerfully with the why thrown in, and then techniques to get rid of nervousness, techniques to channelize, get rid of the too much of the adrenaline flowing in your system and get
Being
more of.
fidgety a lot.
Yes, so exercises to get rid of that as well. Then, how at certain parts you need to work with the three most beautiful chemicals, and of course, storytelling is the best way to induce them in your audience,
Okay.
which is dopamine. So, you want to give people a rush of dopamine. It's beautiful chemical. We all want dopamine. There is oxytocin, which basically makes you more believable. People trust you. When you talk about, for example, your vulnerable moment, you are actually getting oxytocin coming out. Humor does a great job with dopamine, for example.
Sorry, what?
Oxytocin, humor, dopamine
Ha,
does a
correct,
great
correct.
job.
That's why so many
Oxytocin, the
stand-up
feelings, the
comedians are
emotions.
famous these days.
Yes. So oxytocin, and the other beautiful chemical, endorphins, the feeling that comes in with endorphins. So there's a lot to it. But yeah, if I had to put it in one word or one sentence in terms of how to be a public speaker, don't think about the spotlight being on you, put the spotlight on them. You have been given an opportunity to give. Think about your audience. What are you giving them? It's not about you. It's
And
never about you as a public
create
speaker.
a story. Create a story. Make it engaging. Yeah,
Yes.
got it. Got it. Very, very useful tips, Paran sir. I think now we have mostly talked about a lot of things over here. Um, One thing I would now want to understand from you is where people can find you. What is the kind of voice coaching work that you do? How can they reach out? If you can just explain that a little bit for the viewers.
I think the one social media that I am more active than others is Instagram.
Instagram. Yeah.
So Paran Thakur is where I'm at. You can Google it and you will find me on all the various platforms. There's a very interesting story about this T-shirt that I wear. Sometime in life, I heard about Mark Zuckerberg and even Steve Jobs' attitude to the clothes that they wore, and I loved
Yeah.
that philosophy of not having decision fatigue with these nonsense things. So when I started
Uh,
making reels, this T-shirt was a gift from a girl who's been a fan of my radio days.
uh-huh.
So
Oh,
she gave me a coaster, she gave me a coffee mug and a T-shirt. So because I didn't have any, like I had one T-shirt round neck lying of this font, I started doing my reels with that. After that, I've ordered like I think 8 or 10 T-shirts, but I keep wearing this all the time. Don't want to. This is
think
what I wear.
about all of those things. Yeah.
So
Got it.
now in life, I'm feeling very fortunate and very blessed, and God has been very kind. I've just launched a brand, a company called Paravox Academy. So paravoxacademy.com is where you can start to interact with us. But there's a lot more which is going to be happening at the academy, where we're going to have a faculty, where we today are talking about this speaking voice. But I'm going to be looking at us covering anything to do with voice, including a singing voice.
Okay.
So
Got it.
that's the kind of academy we want to create. So anything to do with the human voice, whether you need it for your next interview, whether you want to give a speech, whether it is just overall in life, be an articulate, engaging speaker, we want to be able to facilitate our students to be able to get that guidance, because it's very important. How you speak, how you carry yourself is you, man, for life. And the benefits, relationships, business, money, all of it is going to happen. So mixed in
Absolutely.
with empathy, with kindness, with giving people a beautiful energy back.
Got
Paravox
it.
as a brand I've started. So my t-shirts are now going to say Paravox. It's high
Got
time
it.
they stop saying my name is my feeling.
No, good, good. That's excellent initiative, sir. Paranji, one more thing I wanted to talk to you about, and uh, with the advent of all these OTT platforms, these podcast platforms, and there are a lot of avenues for people to actually get into voiceover acting and making it as a profession. If you can just throw some light on that, what are some of the avenues? Because I believe when you started, there was only radio and maybe some kind of voiceover work, which was probably in Bollywood. And from there on to now, things have dramatically changed. So people who actually want to pursue maybe as a mainstream profession for them or as a side hustle, how can they approach this area of voiceover acting and so on?
Two words to begin with: personal brand. You want to create a personal brand, no matter what walk of life you are in, you need to have a voice serving you well.
Okay. Okay. Got
Now,
it.
when it comes specifically, I have started to work with actors of late, and in the last 8 9 months, I've been helping people specifically when they want to monetize it in the obvious way, let's say as voiceover artists. So when I work one on one with my clients, that is also something that I offer specifically for people, because I then help them on their journey from their delivery, their style, making their demo, what is a great representation in 45 seconds of the three different versatility examples that they can show on their demo reel, etc.,
The
to
showreel
actually
of some.
putting up their demo reel on online platforms like Upwork, Fiverr, Voice
Ah,
123, and all of
okay.
those. So
Okay.
that's what I that's a very it's a very narrow niche, Abhishek, to be honest. But the ones who come in are serious students. They say कि सर हमें करना है, हमें कमाना है वॉइस अपनी वॉइस से. तो उसमें ना बहुत अच्छा होता है कि they are serious and they end up making their demo. And thankfully, with the grace of God, some of my students have started making money. They've started getting regular orders. Projects आ रहे हैं. So
Got it.
that to me is a great validation of putting my time and energy into this project. So that's specifically for voiceover artists.
And is there, would you say, is it the growth in this industry, in this vertical, especially with AI also coming in, is it going to grow, or do you see this space growing up, or is it going to get kind of blunted because the AI also has come into the picture?
So this is a very interesting question. A lot of people ask me this. I think of AI as just one more competitor in the market.
Okay.
Nothing beyond that as of now. However much it will improve, it is the imperfections of our human voice, the imperfections of us as human beings, which makes it so real.
Yeah,
You know, the
I
ability to
mean,
be able
at
to give
least
a
for
chuckle.
now, though, you can easily make out that whether it's an AI voiceover or it's a genuine person who is
Yeah,
speaking.
yeah, yeah.
And at the end of the day, AI also is utilizing the bank of the voices that it already has. So
Exactly.
from that point of view, what is your understanding? Is this industry further going to grow? Do you see a lot more revenues coming in for voiceover actors?
Absolutely, because I measure it in terms of the amount of content which is being created, which is only going to multiply.
Correct,
You know,
correct.
attention is the new currency. This next few
True.
years, it's all about attention. You know, Gary Vee says it best. It's day trading attention. We're in that business because attention will like follow money.
Correct,
The money
correct.
will follow attention rather.
Got
So
it.
that's what you got to have today, which is why personal brands is so important. So people who, let's say, want to make talking head YouTube reels, TikToks, etc. Again, great way for them to start kind of thinking about this. That's your personal authentic voice, which no AI will be able to take. You might get an AI version of you, which is a different matter altogether.
True, true.
But I have clients, man, who tell me that, oh, we used AI voice, and either they say we're not very happy, honestly,
Yeah, yeah,
और
it's
दे
not
और दे
where
से कि यार ये सब सिर्फ हमने टाइमिंग के लिए आपको आइडिया देने के लिए डाली है. हमें नहीं चाहिए है. हमें वो ह्यूमन फैक्टर चाहिए, वो ह्यूमन फ्लॉज, इम्परफेक्शंस. एक साय आ गया, एक ब्रेथ आ गई, एक चक्कल आ गई, एक मुस्कुराहट आ गई आवाज में when you're saying something. वो your ability. So I always tell voiceover artists that listen, hone your craft, become so good that you don't bother and spend time thinking about all this shit, man. Be so fucking good at your art and how you service your clients and how you are great with your delivery timelines, etc. Don't worry about all this, man. The world will keep changing. You keep changing and improving
correct.
your core skill, your art, your talent. Hone that.
And use technology as a technology rather than getting worried about it, or rather than getting intimidated ki this will take over your work. Think of, I personally, and we use AI in our work quite often. I personally think that it's just a tool at the end of the day. You have to think of it as a tool and don't get intimidated. Learn it, and it can help you actually open further avenues for you. But that is not going to replace anyone's. There are very few areas where again it might not replace, it might reduce the number of people required, but it will not really replace it. That's at least my understanding is. So thank you so much,
No
Paran,
use.
for coming onto the show and giving so many amazing tips. I mean, it has been a pleasure having you here. Before we go, and I know you are a busy man, I will just take few more moments of your time. For every guest that come onto our podcast, we do this segment called Super Six. We ask some random questions to our guest just to understand a little bit more about them. I would not really call them random, but questions that tell us a little bit more about our guest. So I want to start off this section with you.
I
Now, here's
love these
my
kind
first
of
question.
rapid fires and games and your Super
Kind of.
Six or whatever you call it. Yeah, come on, bring it on.
Perfect. Perfect. So, if you get a chance to have a meal with any historical figure, who would that be and why?
Roger Bannister.
Okay. Okay. You have to tell a
I
little
would
bit about that.
consider Roger Federer. I mean, he's not historical because he's alive and kicking amongst
True.
us. But if there's
Right.
one human being that I've really appreciated, admired, it's Roger Federer for sure. One meal with Roger Federer would be whoa.
Excellent.
But a gentleman by the name of Roger Bannister, I hope I'm correct, Bannister for sure, was the first guy in the 1910s who ran a mile in under 4 minutes.
Oh, okay. 4 minute mile. The first person who break that record.
First person who did it. Practiced,
Okay.
practiced, practiced, and people said, "A mad guy, pagal hai kya? Never been done for so many bloody years. Ye pagal hai." But you know what is ironical is that when he did it, in the next year,
A lot of people
hundreds
did.
of people did it because they
Yes,
started to
absolutely.
believe that it can
Correct.
be done.
Correct. 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 Yeah. 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 Got it.
I'm a
Interesting.
huge fan of sports people, sports persons. You know, growing up, I loved actors and sports persons, but I always said that actors get a second take, man. A
Hmm.
sportsman is right there in that moment who's got to do it. So I've been a huge lover of sports. I don't watch as much, and I don't want to get in trouble with the missus. So I kind of restrict my watching now to Premier League football, a lot of football, and tennis every now and then. But and cricket invariably Indian है तो थोड़ा बहुत तो जोश आ ही जाता है from time to time. But yeah, I love sports, so I could think of sports people. I hope that answers your question.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. A beautiful answer to that as well. One superpower you would like to have and why?
I don't know if it is a superpower. I don't know, something that gives us or me the ability to leave this planet better. Now, again, what that exact superpower will be, I don't have the words right now to
I would say you
put it
already
into.
have with your voice that power that is there because, and the kind of training that you are doing for your students, because that invariably is making people lives better.
Yeah, I mean, if I could, cliches are sometimes good because they are true, but I am going to use a cliche. For me, it's about changing one voice at a time, but the more that I can change, because if we can get people to speak more, more compassionately, more kindly with others, because communication is about giving,
Yeah.
is about generosity. Now generosity के साथ ना अभिषेक we always equate money, कि ये बड़ा generous आदमी है, ये philanthropist है, ये बहुत इनका वो करता है. I am talking about the generosity of your energy that you give to a fellow human being.
Correct. Kind words go way longer than $1 million sometimes.
Yeah,
Um,
sometimes it's nice to be important, but sometimes it's important to be nice,
correct.
more so.
Correct. Correct. Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
everybody's fighting their own battles, everybody got shit going on, but if you can just come across as somebody who gave them without any expectation, just maybe hope, maybe a smile, maybe a joke, whatever it may be. Just hold positivity overall
Correct. That
with
philosophy
your
of that
voice.
movie Anand comes to my mind when you talk about this. That जिंदगी लंबी नहीं बड़ी होनी चाहिए. And that only happens when you share your joy, share whatever you can give with the world. So great answer, sir. Excellent. Um,
Babu Moshai.
Uh, I know this answer. Probably everyone must learn this one skill. What would be that skill? And I think there would be no, there can't be any. Absolutely
You've given me one full toss to hit straight out of the park, out of the stadium, man. To learn to speak and sound better.
correct. Correct. Absolutely. Absolutely. Three books you would recommend to anybody who any three books which you think could be very useful for everybody.
Okay, I'm a voracious reader, like I mentioned, and this is going to be tough for me to pick only three, but I will look at something that I've recently read.
Sure.
It took me a while to actually read these three books. I had been hearing about them for a while, but I finally got around earlier this year to one reading.
Ikagai. Okay.
I read
Okay.
this. Then it's not on my table here. I always have books on my table because these are the ones that I'm reading at the moment, but it's gone to my library. The Psychology of Money is a
Oh,
great
okay.
book for
Right.
people who just want to understand money, basics. We're not taught so many things. So, The
Mm-hmm.
Psychology of Money. And the third one, I would say, again, very recent, Atomic Habits by James
James
Clear.
Clear. Yeah.
Atomic Habits is wonderful. The whole
Yeah.
philosophy of just getting 1% better is great. I also want to mention Mark Manson, the subtle art of not giving a fuck,
Fuck. Okay.
because
Yeah.
that to me just made it very, very clear that there are just very few things that I want to give a fuck about.
Got
Things
it.
that I cannot control, the traffic in a city, the weather. Why do we spend so much time cripping, crying, complaining about it?
Absolutely.
We can't change it. So give a fuck only about the things that I care about now. I like to call it the four F's. The four-letter word to me is, the first F was, I wanted to go from fat to fit. So the first fuck is fitness, and fitness, again, not just your physical but your mental health as well. So that's fitness. The second one is financial fitness, man. I also have a dharma in this life along with my karma to be able to provide. If I want to be
Correct.
able to, money just makes you able to do what you deep down want to be, right? So if you want to give back and be philanthropic, money
Correct.
gives you the
Absolutely.
ability to be able to do that. So financial. The third F is deep down, I think, whether it's an Indian thing, I don't want to generally make a sweeping generalization. I know there are many nationalities and very many cultures who believe in this, but I think the whole sense of family is
Yeah.
something that binds us together and keeps us in the game. Now sometimes friends become family as well,
True.
and
True.
some of your family is not your friend either.
True.
So that whole equation of people who you interact with and you love and you care about is very, very important. Again, all of them are connected, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah.
And eventually, the last fucking thing that I want is freedom, man. A little bit of freedom of time and money, the ability to do what you want, when you want, with who you want. So
That's when you
yeah,
become
that's what
truly
I'm
wealthy,
chasing in
when
my
you have that
50s.
freedom.
That's what I'm chasing. And it's just I'm work in progress. The journey has begun indeed. First, it comes with the realization, awareness, and then making a few decisions, and then backing it up with the discipline to turn
That's
up, show up
beautiful.
every day.
That's and very pertinent, Paran. Thank you for sharing that. Now, second last question: if you are allowed to eat only one dish for the rest of your life, what would that be?
Aloo ka parantha. I'm very fond of parantha. If you read this and it will also read parantha. We were thinking of of a website paranthevoice.com. So the guy who was doing my website said, "वो ऐसा लग रहा है सर parantha voice है."
Got it. Perfect.
So
No, so
yeah, I
yeah, I
mean,
mean,
lot of I live to I don't live to eat, man. I eat to live. To me, food is not. I'm not a foodie, to be honest.
got it,
Okay,
got
it's
it,
got to be done.
got
But
it.
I eat healthy as much as
Yeah,
I try, but not a foodie.
got it, got it.
Simple dal chawal
The basic necessities,
parantha.
as long as they are covered. Yeah, cool. And the last question, which is one of my favorites also, what is your favorite quote in life?
Favorite what? I sorry didn't get that.
Quote. Any favorite quote that you have? A quote.
A favorite quote that I have. I have a few again. If you'll allow me to just look at some
Sure,
of
of
my
course.
screenshots, because that's how I kind of capture a few of them.
Sure.
And I feel that, this is resonating big time in my life. So what I actually not let me just give me a minute to do this.
Sure, sure. Take your time.
Friedrich, I'll be mispronouncing this. Nietzsche, and maybe help me out.
Friedrich Nietzsche.
Nietzsche, Nietzsche,
Nietzsche. Friedrich Nietzsche.
Nietzsche,
Yeah. Yeah.
Nietzsche,
Friedrich Nietzsche. Yeah.
Friedrich Nietzsche. Thank you for that. And those who were seen dancing were thought to be insane by those who could not hear the music.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
There's a variation that people, who saw them dancing, they thought they were mad, crazy. People
Correct.
use the other
Correct.
words, but yeah, Nietzsche talks about insane. And
Hmm.
Albert Einstein said, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result
Different
leads
result.
to insanity. That's something that I've kind of tried to live by as well. Where don't be ready for the moment, just embrace it. You will make mistakes, you will fall down, you'll get knocked in the face, get up again, and just keep trying out different things, and that's how you will progress and move forward.
Excellent. Cool, sir. Thank you so much. I had a blast talking to you, and love every minute of having this conversation. I think this is the great part of being a having a podcast, because you get to meet so many interesting people, talk about these things. So I absolutely had a great time talking to you. Thank you so much again for coming for the Maverick Man podcast, and I'm sure going to be reaching out to you. I need a lot of work with my voice as well. Um, so definitely going to take up your course and your coaching. I think that will be very helpful for me.
Thank you for inviting me, and I wish the Maverick Man podcast and you, specifically AB Abhishek, all the very best. I think there is a great style that you have in the way that you carry yourself.
Thank you,
There is
sir.
an authenticity about you. Keep that going. Stay real, and
Absolutely,
I'm sure you're
absolutely.
gonna, as they say, kick some ass. So break a leg, go well, my buddy, and
Thank you so much.
I wish great things for you and your podcast both.
Thank you so much. Thank